Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov fight. And so if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Sandhagen is 17-4 with 7 KOs and 3 submissions, and Nurmagomedov is 17-0 with 2 KOs and 7 submissions. This fight is a 5-round fight in the bantamweight division. Sandhagen's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Font, and Nurmagomedov's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Almacan. Sandhagen's UFC losses have come versus Sterling in 2020, Dillashaw in 2021, and Gianna in 2021. To speak about what I've just been saying, like I mentioned, bantamweight fight, it's a division in which is doing alright at the moment. I mean, I think perhaps there has been a little bit of a drop-off as of recent because of the likes of, just in this last year, realistically, when you look at the division now, perhaps it's a bit less stacked than what it once was. I mean, you've got the likes of Cejudo going, Sterling going, Jan not being at his best anymore, people like Vera now maybe not falling off, but we'll have to wait and see. Song Yadong not really doing too much either, and so there's a few needed spaces, I think, to fill in. We've got the likes of Aldo coming back and things like that, which make it more entertaining, and people like Nurmagomedov, who is getting this opportunity here, which, to be honest, I give Sandhagen full credit for giving Nurmagomedov this opportunity. A lot of fighters, haven't had a reason to fight Nurmagomedov, and so haven't really been wanting to, because, it's one of them things where it's like, no reward, then why take the risk? Because you're going to be putting yourself against a really, really difficult fighter who has the momentum of being an undefeated fighter, and he's really dominating everybody's in against. Obviously, he hasn't really been in against anybody too high a level as of yet, but this is his opportunity, and this is what I'm sure he's going to be wanting to take. And, last time Sandhagen, a very good performance against Font, to be completely honest. I think there was a point in Sandhagen's career, possibly after the Yarn loss, where things may have not been looking the best. He wasn't really at the top. He was kind of falling off the top level now at that point. And that was, I believe, a title fight. But after that, he lost to Sterling in 2020, Dillashaw 2021, Yarn in 2021 as well. There was consecutive losses for him in there, and people were questioning if he was able to get back to that top level. But as of recent, that win versus Vera already helped him, and there was a really dominant performance against Font as well last time out. And so if he wins against Nurmagomedov here, he really makes a claim for himself to be possibly next in the line, realistically, because obviously we've got Dvalishvili versus O'Malley next, and so the winner of this one, the winner of Vera Figueiredo, which I'm going to speak about in a minute, could put themselves in a position to go on to fight for the title next. So we'll have to wait and see. This is a really important fight for the bantamweight division, and it's, like I say, a really nice matchup. And Nurmagomedov's last performance, he got knocked down early on. He faced adversity and he came back. And it was early in the first round. It could have been a flush knockdown. Depends. It looked like it possibly hurt him a little bit, but he seemed to recover really well and on the ground. Pretty much just went back to dominating the entire fight and really just went back to his suffocating self, as people have been referring him to as, because he did just completely on the ground shut out Almacan like he has been to multiple different opponents. And at the same time, his performance before that, he didn't even go to the ground. He knocked him out cold in the first round, so he doesn't necessarily have to. He is mixed in his fights, and he's getting referred to as the next Khabib, but perhaps he's got that striking that's a bit better. I don't think his ground game's as good as Khabib's right now, but that striking or comfortableness on the feet perhaps could be better than that of Khabib's. I'm not too sure. Obviously, it's still very much early days, and we have to wait to see him develop. And like I said, it's a really good fight for him to develop with. Also on this card, like I mentioned, though, Vera versus Figueiredo, in which I think Figueiredo is going to win via submission in round 2. It's a bold shout to say, Vera's been in with a lot of the top guys. Even when he's lost in close fights, or he's never been stopped. And last time out against O'Malley put on a really good performance against him, and Vera really showed his toughness and his durability to be able to get through that, and that constant front foot pressure in which Vera's going to put forwards. But Figueiredo is really coming into his own into the bantamweight division at the moment, and I think if he can get Vera to the ground, I believe with the ability that Figueiredo has to be able to gain submissions, I could see him with it. It's being able to get one. Will he be able to get him to the ground? That could be a whole different thing. But like I say, if he can, then like I say, that's where I think he could get a submission. Like I mentioned in round 2, he's coming off an excellent performance versus Cody Garbrandt, and yeah, so like I say, a really excellent fight and matchup as well. 2 really quality but good bantamweight fights on this Abu Dhabi card, and to be fair, in general, it's a really nice card, and there was, going to be that Luke vs Diaz fight, which I was, interested for myself. But there's other big names, and obviously Tony Ferguson, who, it's controversial if he's still fighting or not. But he's on Alaskarov. Don't know if that's him or not, but there's a few good fights on it as well, and so yeah, it's going to be an interesting card. And to speak back about the main event against Sandhagen, as a fighter, I believe he's quick on his feet. He's also got quite awkward movements. He's relatively explosive in his work, and he kind of like holds your hands or like your wrists to stop you from throwing, but then to be able to like then time his knees. It's an interesting strategy, and you don't really see many other fighters willing to do that, because it can put yourself in vulnerable positions if they can get out of that. But it's interesting. Like I say, when he's quick on his feet and got good scrambles as well. In general, it is quite fast, his movements and things like that. He's difficult to pin down, I believe, and Nurmagomedov is definitely going to want to do that. He switches stances nicely. I believe he's got nice mid-range striking. I think Nurmagomedov has also got excellent mid-range striking as well. So I think in general, striking-wise, this could make for a really interesting matchup if it does end up staying on the feet. I think he also times his takedowns really well. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can time a takedown on Nurmagomedov. If he could time a takedown on him and keep him there, that would be really, really impressive, because nobody's been able to do that. So we'll have to wait and see if he can do that. But if he can, then all credit to him for being able to do that. I think he's got good striking variety. Like I said, mixes his knees really nicely. I think even just his knee variety that he throws is really nice. He'll do his jumping one quite often, or he'll just do his stand and straight to the face one, which is also very nice as well. So, in general, I think he does have nice striking variety and good kicks. Nurmagomedov also has excellent kicks, so that also going to be an interesting factor. He's, like I say, explosive, can fight on the front or the back foot, similar in that aspect, I believe, to that of Nurmagomedov. He tangles you up nicely. He's obviously the more experienced out of the two, and he's very durable, and he's shown that he's very durable. So it's going to take a lot for Nurmagomedov to be able to get Sandhagen out of there. Negatives about him, I think his balance when he rushes in. I don't think he's as good in close as that of what Nurmagomedov can be. I don't think capitalises on the good ground positions that he gets in quite as much. Neither of them have got crazy amount of submissions. I mean, Nurmagomedov has been improving with his submission game, and since joining the UFC has looked very dominant in his finishes. But Sandhagen, he can get himself in good ground positions, but he just, like I said, doesn't always seem to capitalise on them. I think could have got Font out of there on the ground, but just didn't seem to be able to do so. He was close, but not quite. He stands straight on quite a lot and stands tall, similar to that of Nurmagomedov. I think he stands quite tall as well, but Sandhagen, when he gets in close, he seems to be able to get caught quite a lot when he gets in close. He can be timed running in. He's got quite a weak guard. I think his chin can be in the air. I think he can often invite pressure as well, and Nurmagomedov is going to be probably willing to put on pressure if he's invited to do so. And so, it's going to be interesting to see if Sandhagen will just allow him to do so. And I think his striking timing, I think his takedown timing is excellent, but I think his striking timing isn't always amazing, and sometimes he can just be throwing a punch just to be able to, say that he's throwing a punch back from what the punch he's just received, even if it's not going to land that cleanly or land at all. Speak about Nurmagomedov as a fighter, he's got really nice long range striking. His straight shots, his straight punches, but also his straight kicks are excellent. His push kicks are really, really impressive, and they add that extra little power to his shots. And yeah, it's a really impressive strike in which he seems to really utilise quite well. He, of course, like I say, has that momentum with him, and as an undefeated fighter, you can never really kind of not have that momentum with you. Like somebody like a Sandhagen has a bit of momentum with him, but Nurmagomedov has that confident momentum with him because he doesn't know how to lose, and that's something in which Sandhagen does know how to lose. he switches stances very nicely as well and does it fluidly, probably a bit more fluidly than that of Sandhagen. He's got good striking variety as well as, like I said, fast hands, so he might be able to deal with Sandhagen, but if Sandhagen puts it on him, then it could be interesting to see how Nurmagomedov deals with that. He stands quite, he's got a good front foot and back foot movements as well. It keeps you on the ground very nicely. It really suffocates you, like I mentioned, keeping you, maintaining you on the ground and getting you on the ground. And there's been multiple fights now with these 3-round fights where he's got on a takedown and pretty much just kept you there throughout the entire fight. And it's impressive to be able to keep a person there for that long. I think he's very good at getting himself out of bad positions. Like I say, got knocked down in that last fight of his and managed to get himself out of that bad position whilst being hurt pretty much instantly, so that's impressive in itself as well. I think physically he's strong. I mean, you have to be able to keep somebody on the ground, and I believe he is physically strong. Negatives about him, I think he, like I say, can stand quite tall. I think perhaps he can be also maybe a little bit uncomfortable and close. I think he'll let his hands go, but can be a little bit, uncomfortable. So I don't think this is going to be a close range kind of like a war type swing in a way, fighting close. He can move back and forwards in straight lines, so if Sandhagen can see that, then he could possibly find shots to walk him onto. He lunges in a little bit at times, I think. Obviously, this is a big step up in opponent for him, and Sandhagen has that much more experience, like I mentioned. He has been hurt, like I mentioned now, so now he knows how to be hurt, and perhaps that maybe gets rid of the invincibility aspect of him at the moment, which he might carry around with him. He can be timed and can be caught, especially early on, coming in. To say Sandhagen is the favourite for this fight, I would say so. I'm not too sure, but I would say he is. I think that Nurmagomedov will win via unanimous decision. I believe he perhaps has the better striking, the more powerful striking. I think Sandhagen might be more explosive and might be able to rough him up for the early rounds. But if Nurmagomedov can get Sandhagen to the ground, I think he could be very dominant. And I don't believe he was going to be able to get a submission, but I don't believe Sandhagen scrambles well, but Nurmagomedov is suffocating. And I just don't believe that Sandhagen will be able to keep Nurmagomedov off him for long enough. And yeah, I think Nurmagomedov first 5-round fight, I believe unanimous decision victory. Then who we could go on to fight? Obviously, Vera versus Figueiredo is another fight. If they're going to be waiting around for a title shot, they could go on to fight the winner of O'Malley versus Dvalishvili. Like I mentioned, it probably wouldn't surprise me if that would be the option. Or Jan, that's another fight. Maybe could make sense for Nurmagomedov, who obviously hasn't fought somebody like him. Or Aldo, like I say, he's really kind of trying to get himself back in there now, and so that could be an option as well. But Aldo might need another fight. Possibly we see Vera versus Figueiredo winner fight Aldo, and then Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov winner fight the winner of O'Malley versus Dvalishvili. That could be the option. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, you love this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.